On our trend spotting segment today. Raising funds in 2023 continued to be tough. Investment activity was muted globally, with investments declining by 65% relative to 2022 and totaling $9.6 billion compared to $25.7 billion in 2022. Consumer tech, fintech and software and SaaS continue to be the big bets. Also, generative AI apps attracted the lion's share of funding. All this as per Bain & Company's annual India Venture Capital Report 2024, written in collaboration with Indian Venture and Alternate Capital Association. And to take us through the key highlights of the report, joining me now is Sai Deo, partner at Bain & Company. Sai, welcome back to Startup Street. Like I mentioned earlier, investment activity echoed a muted sentiment globally, with investments declining by 65% relative to 2022. There were domestic and global factors that extended the funding winter. We thought 2024 would bring signs of spring, but it hasn't. Your comments on that?
Thanks, Shruti. It's a pleasure to be back here. I think the way to think about it is, there are a couple of positives from 2023 that will lead into 24. Early stage deals have seen a lot of resilience in 2023. There were 700 plus deals in the 10 million bucket. There's been growth deals that have seen momentum over the latter half of last year, and investors, startups, the ecosystem alike has kind of focused on charting course for the next couple of years in terms of streamlining operations, paths to profitability, etc. So, while we do think that 2024 will continue to remain moderate and maybe a tad bit incremental year to 2023, there are a lot of green shoots that are worth looking at. We've already seen, 10 or more deals in the 25 million kind of range. Growth deals will grow. There are a lot of new emerging sectors that I'd love to talk about.
Sure.
But the sentiment is positive.
All right, we delve deeper into what you just mentioned. But first, overall tech-first sectors like consumer tech, fintech and software SaaS maintained their dominance in 2023, capturing nearly 60% of funding. What are the other sectors that show tremendous potential, Sai?
We were just speaking with Sarthak earlier. Gen AI is a big segment that will see potential in the next couple of years. Already over 2023, we saw about 250 million plus of investments go into this sort of emerging technology. And for India in specific, Indian language-based LLMs, data-based LLMs, India nuanced AI tooling is going to be a big trend. EV has continued to remain salient from the last couple of years. 44 plus deals happened in the last year, and we see that continuing to see momentum. And then there's a couple of emerging sectors, precision farming in agri, biopharma, space tech. A couple of traditional sectors are also seeing investments. So quite a few emerging technologies.
Sure. Sai, 2023 was also a year of buoyant exit activity as investors sought to provide liquidity to their LPs in a high interest rate environment. The report says exits surged by almost 1.7x to reach $6.6 billion in 2023. If you could take us through the key trends here, and what does the report say about startup IPOs and the future outlook there?
It's a good question. A large share of exit activity last year was actually led by public market exits. About 55% plus was actually from exits from new age tech firms that had listed over the last couple of years. We also saw almost 5 to 6 IPOs that had significant VC exits in the last year across, beauty, drones, jewelry. The market is also well balanced by a bunch of secondaries going into, a couple of the large growth stage startups. These are the last by sovereign funds. So for 24, we actually see the startup IPO activity picking up, although it will be incremental and slow. A lot of startups are kind of setting stage for it over the next couple of years in terms of, redomiciling, paths to profitability, etc. So while we see the trend actually coming to fruition over 25, 26, the stage will be set in 24.
All right. A change of guard was also observed in 2023, Sai, as domestic VC funds took the forefront, in fundraising and comprised 90% of the total capital raised. So first, tell us, where is all this money headed? And do you see this trend continue, or will we see an influx of foreign investments again?
Yeah, I think the thing to kind of also remember is over 22, a large set of the global investors raised money, and 23
Yeah.
was a change of guard with the domestic VC funds raising money. So there is a lot of dry powder that is sitting in the system that we think, will be slower in terms of deployment over this year. But over, the next couple of years, if I take the 3-year horizon instead of the 1-year horizon, a lot of that dry powder should kind of come into the market. At the moment, we think significant part of that will probably go to early stage firms. But as startups kind of consolidate their operations and get into growth stage, a lot of that will also see deployment over 25 and 26.
All right. Speaking of investment, Sai, the last couple of years have seen the focus on early stage startups, while growth stage has taken a breather. And also, as startups focus on profitability, what does the data tell us about investments in 2024? Also, are the days of the mega rounds, which are over $100 million, over?
Yeah, I think it would be too early to say it's over. We just saw a large round this year.
A couple, yeah.
A couple of rounds this year. So too early to say that, but I would believe that, most of the startups have focused on, improving unit economics, building more sustainable business models over the last couple of years. We are also seeing an emerging trickle into growth stage secondaries from last year coming into this year as well, where we saw a couple. So over this year, over the next year, we think we might see a couple. It's hard to top 2021, which had 90 plus sort of mega deals, but
Yes.
I do think that some will come through this year as well.
All right. Sai, the report suggests that erstwhile dominant sectors like B2C commerce and software and SaaS are expected to rebound as structural tailwinds persist. But what are the new emergent themes projected to surge in funding activity? You were earlier mentioning some of them.
Correct. GenAI, obviously, as I said, is a key theme. EV, mobility, agri-tech, space tech are obviously, top of mind in terms of early stage deals. I think the other interesting trend is also a lot of VC funds are looking at traditional sectors for investment. So think offline retail, for example, or UPI-based credit, etc. So we do think that some of those sectors will also see momentum. And within B2C commerce, SaaS, specific segments will become more material. D2C brands, vertical SaaS will see more momentum going forward.
All right, one final question before I let you go. Sai, talking about India's digital infrastructure and startup policies conducive to startups, where do you see the big challenge and the big potential for growth in India's startups ecosystem? Give us a futuristic outlook.
Honestly, I think India has built one of the most advanced DPIs or digital public infrastructures, globally, and there's been several conducive policies in terms of PPP in space tech, PLIs, etc. So, there's a lot of opportunities for startups to piggyback off of, whether it is cross-border commerce or cross-border payments or, global expansion, etc. The biggest challenge will be sort of, building for India 2+ and, building the right set of monetization models off of the DPI infrastructure that has been built. But again, several opportunities for startups.
Sure. All right. On that note, we'll have to wrap up our conversation. But many thanks, Sai, for joining us on Startup Street. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.
Pleasure to be here, Shruti. Thank you.